Good morning, everyone. Nice to see some familiar faces joining us. We've got the Sarge is with us. Give him a little bit of a salute there. A few other names. Mr. Evans. Hello, Mr. Evans. Woohoo! We've got a woohoo. So at least they can hear us, Simon. That's a good start.
That's good news.
Give everyone a little bit of time. This bit where I feel as though I need a joke or something, a dad joke. Hey, Jenny. Feel like I need a dad joke to almost kind of start off, but then that's probably quite a bad point to start from, isn't it? So yeah. So we are recording today. We've got the questions and answers. So if you've got any questions as you go through, then stick them in the chat. And yeah, Simon, could you share the
Yeah.
slides?
One sec. Here we go.
So this
Okay.
this is one of those where they say you should never work with, is it children and animals or also test data. So yeah, we're sharing some test data today, and because we can't share client data with you, but hopefully it gives you a great feel for what we've built, and we're very, very excited. So Simon, could you flip over to the first slide? So bit of an agenda. Not everyone knows who Socket are, so we'll give you a quick overview of Socket. We'll give you an introduction to kind of TaxScout, a bit of the background as to how we got to where we are today. Simon's then going to give us a demo, and then we'll go through the roadmap, but questions and answers at the end. But if you've got any questions as you go through, then just shout and we'll try and answer them as we go. We are going to share a recording, so if you miss anything, then please shout. Other things to let you know, we are going to be at the FYI day next Tuesday, and we're also going to be at Accountex next Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, look forward to hopefully seeing a few of you there. So let's start then with a bit of an introduction of kind of Socket. So who are Socket? So we're a team that we've been together. I've collected a few things. Here's the team together in, when was that? That was 2021. We won Emerging App of the Year with Xavier Analytics. You'll see lots of familiar faces in there. This is the third time that Simon and I have worked together. We've both got accounting backgrounds, and then we've got a really strong kind of team of developers. And actually, the majority of us all work together in accounting tech. So we're really, really kind of excited in terms of what we're building right now. I also run my own accounting practice. So a lot of what we do is road tested on our clients, but it's also from some of my personal kind of pain points. And TaxScout is one of those where I felt that pain. And at times I felt as though I've been letting clients down. So that's really, really kind of exciting to be able to go to work one day, find a problem, and then the next come back and be able to kind of fix it. So when we started Socket, we were trying to solve the problem of proposals should drive absolutely everything that you do within your business. And actually, the number of things that we've built into Socket have kind of evolved over time as we've started to be able to kind of we've solved one problem, it's then opened up another. So, for example, the leads module has come because we were seeing that lots of people that were kind of struggling with that capturing of all of the data before it even got to the proposal stage. And so we've built a leads module. So in terms of what is Socket, it starts off with pricing. So that's quite a detailed driver-based pricing model. So it reflects the complexity of your business. And pricing should evolve over time. So what do I mean by that? You'll have some jobs that might take way longer than you originally thought, and it might be because the client's using tracking categories or there's lots of foreign currency. And so what you should almost be doing is reflecting, building that into your pricing so that the next time you price, you start to build that into what you're doing. So we've then got the leads module where you can track all of the interactions with a prospect. You can then turn that into a proposal with options, a proposal with extras, and then hopefully the client's going to accept that. We'll also send nudges from within sockets. We've then got engagement letters, and we're working with Ian Waters, who's a bit of an expert in this space, and he's curated all of those engagement letters for us. From there, when the proposal's won, we've then got workflows. So that might be into your practice management tool, FYI, Carbon. We've got integrations for, we've also got FYI. And if you're handy with APIs, you can build your own. We've also got an MCP server coming, so that's quite exciting. The whole idea then is once it's in socket, we will take care of all of the billing for you. So no more repeating invoices. From there, we've also then got price monitoring. So this is relatively new. This is where you can load in your invoices from zero and we'll compare it to your proposals. You can load in volumes and we'll compare it and we'll say where it's different and then encourage you to kind of reprice your clients. And then we get into TaxScout, which again is just giving you some visibility into your clients. And don't be surprised if you come back in a couple of months and there's a few other modules that are in there. So one that is going to be coming relatively soon is an onboarding module. And again, that sits quite nicely with what we've done with TaxScout. Anything to add, Simon?
No, seems pretty good. Thank you.
Perfect. So let's move on to the next slide then. So in terms of kind of TaxScout, what is TaxScout? So effectively what we're doing is we're going in through the front door of your HMRC agent portal, and then we're getting all of the data. It's frustrating that there's not an API that you can kind of go and you can talk between systems and get it. So effectively what we're doing is we're going and getting the information. Now, the portal's brilliant if you've only got one client, but then when you start to kind of scale it from there and you've got 50, 100, we've got a few that have got over 1,000, it becomes nigh on impossible to be able to kind of keep on top of it. If you look at the portal, there's a real richness of information within there. So for example, it will tell you things such as, is there a direct debit in place? Is there a payment plan in place? Are there penalty points on things like VAT? So there's gold in there, but the challenge is how do you get it out? So effectively what we're doing with TaxScout is we are eliminating those manual checks and we are literally surfacing the information for you so you can then start to be way more proactive. And for me, this is where it becomes quite exciting. AI, everyone's talking about AI is going to change the world. For me, this is great because it means that we can start to be more personal. So it's that ability of being able to message a client and just say, it might be around July time, it might be a little prompt. Remember, you've got that payment on account. You can give them the full details, and then you can also give them the kind of the references. So again, it's that bit of being proactive, but it's also an opportunity of being able to spot some of those clients that are kind of struggling. So a client might be doing some of the stuff themselves. You can see that there's a deadline looming. You can perhaps see that there's penalties in place. And so it's a real opportunity of being able to pick up the phone, go a little bit old school, or send them a message. And what we've tried to do is we've tried to kind of surface as much of that information as possible. So the deadlines, but if you're looking in there, and you're seeing something that you think would be valuable to surface, let us know, because what we can do is we can then go through and we can add that in terms of what we do and why we kind of do it. And again, what we're trying to do is almost like move away from that tool bloat. So how can we start to kind of join things up so there's a clear flow of data? How can we start to spot some of the gaps? So we know which clients you're providing which services for. So this is a really nice way of being able to kind of spot it. And in my own portal, what I've seen is I've seen a number of clients that we no longer act for. And I've been wondering why we get that post through the door every single kind of month. And then likewise, we've got a number of clients where we haven't gone through and completed the 64.8. So it's a really nice way of just keeping everything kind of up to date and complete. What we've tried to do as well is we've tried to kind of give you a dashboard so you can kind of jump in there and you can see what's going on and kind of surface which clients you want to dig into a bit more detail. And at the moment, we're covering the corporation tax, PAYE, and self-assessment, which will be on that kind of legacy portal. And then we've also got VAT, which is on the new MTD. What we'll also do as well is each night we'll go in and we'll get that latest data. So what you see in Socket within TaxScout should be exactly what you see on the client kind of portal. So you're able to start at a very high level. So for me, this was the first time that I was able to kind of scan all my clients in one place, but then you've also got the detail of being able to kind of dive in and see exactly what you want. So for me, I love it, absolutely love it. And it's kind of taking away quite a bit of pain, or not really pain, because missed opportunities is probably what I would say, because it used to get to January time, end of the month. We'd like to go through and contact all of our clients, but it was just too laborious. So TaxScout has now changed that for us. Simon.
Me, yeah. Okay. Um, so I have the pleasure of taking you through this. Give me 1 second whilst I sort this out. Um, as John said, we're playing with some demo data, so please be kind. Would be my only request. So, see that again? Awesome. So, for those of you who are not in Socket yet, you can go to usesocket.com and set up a trial, and you'll be able to log in. For those of you who are, you'll have a new page down your left-hand side called TaxScout. And when you load it up, if you haven't loaded anything in, there'll be like an empty banner here with it looks like there's data in it, but it's not. It's kind of like an empty screen. So I think the first thing that I want to just talk through is just the first steps. What you need to do, you need to set it up. So as John mentioned, there's quite often a couple different logins. So within here, I can add a login. There's a flow here, whether you're going down the classic portal or the entity portal, and then you just choose what type of tax that you want to add in. At the moment, we don't have entity for IT. We are looking at it and a way to bring that in. But as John said, we've got VAT, corporation tax, PAYE, and self-assessment, and CIS is coming soon. The last thing I will mention on this is 2FA. We know that HMRC are rolling out 2FA. We will have our 2FA kind of solution in probably this week, if not early next week, and we can walk through that in a bit more detail later.
The other thing to add there, Simon, as well, is some people may have more than one CT account, and you can absolutely kind of stack them. So if you've got multiple, you can add multiple kind of accounts, and we'll pull it back. So we'll go through and we'll review them one by one.
Nice. So then once you hook it up, leave it for a little while the first time you run it. Actually, every time you run it, it'll take a little while to get data back. So you can make yourself a cup of tea and come back. And so what is the dashboard? I suppose is trying to surface interesting information to you. So we've got things like the number of clients, HMRC, and different what do you call this?
Tax types.
Tax types. Yeah, there we go. Then total tax owed, and then here we've got a little graph of the kind of outstanding VAT across your clients. We then can dive into kind of deadlines, so I can kind of see all the deadlines that are coming up. All of these are kind of clickable through to the client itself. So if I wanted to go into Kelso Group, for instance, it now goes into this page and I can see that information. Um, Here we've tried to like classify like who needs attention, and each of these will show you like why as a little tooltip, and why we want to have this attention. So for example, here Richmond Group have got an outstanding balance that you'll see, which we'll run through in a bit of detail in a minute. We then got an interest and penalties area, kind of showing anyone who's got interest and penalties, and then just a bit of sync status in here. Any point in time, you can just kick off a sync if you want to. And if you want to, you can kick it off the individual services. I would say as well with this dashboard, are there things that you kind of want to see or not kind of seeing at the moment, please just do let us know. It's kind of very much well, it's not a work in progress. It's definitely there, but we're taking feedback to kind of see what information you want to see here.
And again, I think use cases, it's almost like that bit of how you're using the information. So, for example, the interest and penalties, we've used that, we're starting to use that now as part of our month end, that we can kind of quickly dive in and get a view as to do we need to make any kind of provisions for kind of penalties and interest.
Nice. And so then along the top nav here, we've then got each of the different kind of tax types. So if I just dive into VAT, what you're presented with is just a table of information to do with that kind of tax type. All these tables have a columns button at the top right-hand corner here. We've pre-selected some things that you might find interesting, but you can add and remove various things from these columns depending on what you find interesting yourself. And they're all kind of sortable and filterable to try to see the kind of information that you want to see. And then again up here we've got a few filters just to kind of determine what you might want to see. So for example, if I'm coming in here and I want to see like all the outstanding balances, I can quickly put a filter on that and I can see who they are. And I can also change some of the information in here.
What we've tried to do is provide things like the start date and also the address, so that if you are ringing up HMRC, we know that there's kind of information that they're going to ask for. So again, having everything in front of you should make it slightly easier when it comes to having a conversation with HMRC as well. Simon showed you the columns as well. Those columns are kind of remembered. So when you come back into this, it will remember those columns. And at the very bottom, there was a reset button that would set it back to the kind of the default. And then the last bit is also, you can also export it as a CSV or Excel if you want. So if you've built a nice view and then you want to then do a mail out, then you can kind of push that into your practice management tool if you want to.
So then each of these is like a clickable space, and you can then go into the client itself. This one's only got one obligation type, but you can then see who it is, reference, and then a summary of what's going on. Also, there's good, interesting thing here about whether they've got direct debit active or not, so we can see the direct debit status as well on this client. If I go into the client as well, I can start to see some more information in there.
Yeah, we've got some interesting stories about things like that direct debit as well. So we tried to be smart, and we tried to we tried to write to all of our clients and go, "Oh, you've got an outstanding balance," and it's like, "Yeah, no, I've got a direct debit." So again, what we're trying to do is kind of give you the context so that it appears more kind of like meaningful. So it is that bit of, "Hey, Simon, just let you know you've got an outstanding balance of X that will be collected by direct debit," is way nicer than them then kind of panicking when the messaging's not quite right. So again, that's the kind of bit we've tried to surface as much as possible. But if we're missing something, or you think there's a bit of information which could be used, let us know where it exists. Because again, you may see things in your portal that relate to your clients that we haven't kind of seen across our client base.
Cool. So yeah, I think each of these columns tell a pretty similar story, right? Which depends on a different tax type, and then depending on what you're doing. So obviously, there's VAT, PAYE, corporation tax, and self-assessment, and then we have various filters depending on what you want to see on these. And each of these, as you dive into them, you can then see this one's got three different areas, and I can dive into each of them and see kind of the history of each of these. Again, I think I suppose this has been in like testing for a few weeks and live for like a week, and a number of people have already said, "Oh, we found a VAT balance from 5 years ago. We didn't know it was outstanding, or whatever it might be." So I think just on the first import, I just like have a little look at the main tables and information, get used to kind of the data it's showing you, and hopefully you'll kind of see something straight away from that information that you didn't realize it can really help with your clients.
Yeah. And don't be surprised if the names are slightly different between portals. So we've seen some examples where it's like the classic LTD with a dot or limited in another. And so what you are able to do then is to kind of merge those clients as well. So it will remember. In a perfect world, you could go into the portal and kind of change the name. But yeah, we've just given you that merge functionality.
So yeah, here, if you see that, I think the merge clients here, you can then merge it with someone else to kind of merge those two together, so you can kind of see one record within the system. Um, Another thing that I think people might find useful is like whether people have got payment plans active. Again, for each of the different like tax types, we're pulling back certain bits of information, whether there's a direct debit active, whether there's a payment plan active. And are we surfacing that back on the main dashboard? I'm not sure.
I think a lot of it is on the main
The dashboard.
dashboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, So yeah, we have that for all of them, and then the tax balances is kind of like a consolidation of the different areas that you want to look at, but with various different bits. So let's say you have overdue payments that you want, you can kind of go into here, view the overdue payments, kind of see who it is, see what it is, and dive into detail on that. We are looking at how we surface this information like more into your workflow. I think a number of people that we've been working with kind of either send out reminders, and they're doing that manually at the moment to make payments. And if they're overdue, they send another reminder. We're looking at how we can give that information to you in a good way, whether that's via an API or whether that's actually being able to send that reminder from Socket itself. I've got a little design that I can show you in a minute, which is not live in the product by any means, but it's kind of a little bit of an exploration of what that might look like. So yeah, anything on this page, John?
No, I think the kind of thing is play around with it. Like if you hook it up, if you see your real clients, I think then that's kind of super useful because you'll be picturing in your mind the clients that are awful when it comes to an HMRC perspective, and then you can kind of dive in and sort of start to see the information that's in there. So, but it was also quite surprising is there might be some people that you didn't expect were in kind of that sort of shape or poor shape.
The last thing here is like a report builder. So I think this basically allows you to consolidate all the different columns from all the different pages. And as John said, this persists like when you come back. So if you want to have a certain view across the different tax types that you either want to download or save for later, this is basically like the master page that you can do that and load all your data up in one space.
Yeah. There's also some really good information there of almost like when it comes to scheduling. So like on your VAT return, you've got which VAT period it kind of relates to. So again, it's that bit of you can use it to ensure that you've got that consistency of data across all of your kind of systems. And that's a big thing that we're trying to do is almost like how do we get the kind of the consistency. I think the other thing is, well, as to why do it now, we're starting to see some of the penalties that are coming from HMRC are getting quite harsh, particularly around things like VAT. So we've almost turned around to a number of our clients and said, actually, if you're gonna do anything, make sure that you pay your VAT on time. And so again, that bit of let's encourage them to all put direct debits in place.
So I think like a few of the things that we know people want to kind of use this for. I think we mentioned already is like reminders. So reminders for payments. I think a lot of people maybe don't like it's not something that we generally offer as accountants to the clients or something that the people then, but then they blame us when they don't pay. So like I'm sure lots of people in that situation where you kind of give them information, you tell them they need to pay. For some reason the email's been missed or whatever it might be, and then they get a fine from HMRC and it's actually your fault, which is obviously not a great place to be in. So this will really help with that, hopefully, so you can kind of get a complete view of what's going on, what the up and coming payments are, and be more proactive in as part of that.
Yeah.
And trying to automate that a lot more, rather than kind of having to go into the portal and log in. So it should just have a better general relationship with the client as well.
Yeah. Richard's asked a question about how can you easily use the data to notify clients? Any suggestions on kind of integrations? So one of the things that we've done is almost like we've put in place that export straight away so that actually you can export it. At FD Works, we use a Google Sheet add-on called YAM, yet another mail merge. And so, yeah, we've used that of almost kind of sending out communications very, very easily to our clients. We're aware of a few other people that are then uploading it into tools like FYI. And I know Bright has got the facilities where you can upload stuff as well and then use that in a communication. So we're keen to explore what integrations are available. But again, shout if you've got any kind of use cases. We'd love to hear about those and kind of explore the idea of building for it.
Nice. Um, and I think then outside of that, kind of the main like payment reminders, I think just having, as John said, having a clear view of your clients, so who have you got on your portal, who you haven't got on your portal. We're in talks with HMRC at the moment to try and allow the 64.8 approval, which means that kind of hopefully streamline that flow a little bit more. And this kind of is as part of the existing socket. Integration system that you can't see at the moment in here, but what you'll see is you'll see HMRC in here. So the clients in TaxScout map to clients in your proposal system. So again, you'll be able to see kind of who's missing from that system that you haven't requested access for. And coming soon as well will be the ability to be able to see some of this information within like the core socket system as well. So in the core socket system, if you do have TaxScout connected, you'll be able to see some more information coming through here, which again might help to inform information about proposals, or if you're starting to do scheduling for certain things, again, as John mentioned, that data can be really useful.
Yeah. One of the things I'm quite excited by, Simon, is almost that bit of we know which services we're providing to which clients. Can we then link that up? So can I then surface which clients we're not acting as the agent for and then create the 64.8 flow? So that's in my mind almost like where I'd like to take it, if that complete flow all the way all the way through so there's no gaps.
Got a couple of other questions, John. From Jenny, can you see the details of the payment plan or just the one that exists?
Um, I will need to check. I think we are pulling back the details of the payment plan. Um, I've got a client I can check on. Um, I think it is surfaced in some of the data we are extracting.
Cool. Okay, so I think probably not at the moment, but we can look at it, see whether we can bring it in. And we've got another question from David. What kind of HMRC account do you need to get the info?
Okay, so you effectively need an agent account. Um, so you will need two. So they're two different ones. You'll have one for your VAT, and that will also be MTD income tax. And then the other one will cover corporation tax, self-assessment, and PAYE.
And then finally from Jenny, it would be handy to see poor payers when doing the proposal renewals. For instance, we charge more for people who regularly pay their PAYE late because it takes so long to reconcile with HMRC.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on this, Jenny. It's like it's that whole kind of bit of again, we're talking about it when it comes to like plans, sorry, payments, monthly payments. It's almost like, do we then start charging more because we've got to go in there and set up one also for HMRC as well as doing one for the overall employee payments.
So yeah, so when you dive into the detail, Jenny, you can then see this is a client, and then you can then see all the different taxes you might have for a client. So you can definitely see a history or someone that's in there. You would need to dive into the client to see this information, but it's probably a good way to kind of start. If there's something missing, you can go kind of see.
But that was an interesting one there, Simon. You can kind of see that there's a bit of a quirk there where there's £37 and 1 pence that's kind of overdue. And this is literally where we are pulling that data straight out of the HMRC portal. And the chances of you kind of finding that would be pretty slim. So again, we're starting to kind of go through and tidy some of this data up because to date it's been looking for a bit of a needle in a haystack.
Um, and then the question from Steve, can we see payment dates, like when the client paid?
So you go to the corporation tax. So we are pulling out dates such as when it was filed. We aren't necessarily pulling out the dates that it was paid. Um, so yeah, it's at the moment it's a paid yes or no. I guess that data is possibly available. Um, so yeah, if that type of stuff is useful, then we can kind of explore looking and servicing it.
Cool. A couple of people said that might be useful, the paid date.
Yeah.
So we can look into that. And someone else asked, how do I move clients we no longer work with from coming through TaxScout?
Okay, so you should be able to remove them from the portal, so from your HMRC portal. So if they disappear from the portal, then we will take them out of TaxScout. Now, I was with a couple of accountants last week, and we were struggling to see how we could actually remove some clients from the portal. Um, and someone who's a ICAW member was going to kind of raise it because it's quite an interesting one there from um, a data kind of perspective. If you're no longer for acting for the clients, but you can't delete them, so you can do it for some taxes, some you can't, and we're kind of exploring how do you delete them.
Yeah, and I suppose the other thing that we're looking at is like showing only the clients that you've got in socket if you want to. So at the moment we're just like bringing back everything in TaxScout like on day
Yeah,
one, and the way it works is quite difficult for us to like persist clients that you've deleted. It is like a little bit difficult for us to do. But one of the things that we're looking at is we're like linking those to your actual clients. We'll just show you the clients that you got in TaxScout. But at the moment it's basically just all the clients that are in the system.
yeah. Literally, what we are doing is we are surfacing all of the data that we see within the HMRC portal. So it's almost that kind of prompt of tidy up the portal and it won't flow through. So again, I think there's some kind of possible housekeeping, which I know I've had to do and we're still kind of continuing to do.
Um, So there's a couple more questions, and then we'll move on to like the other bit. So I think can you download the data? So the answer to that is yes. So like you can download the data. At the moment, it's like an Excel format in this kind of tabular format that you can download. There isn't a uh, there isn't like a client friendly view at the moment, but again, something that we could explore. I think what we're suggesting right now is like downloading that data and then whether you're sending it via email or something else, being able to send that, and we can show you something that we're looking at in terms of sending that confirmation. And in terms of another question, just which says, is it just my own portal logins I can use, or can I use clients as well? It has to be an agent login. It can't be like a company's login. So you have to be acting as an agent on behalf of them.
Yeah. And that's because the whole kind of setup, the configuration, the path that we use to kind of navigate through it is different between those. Um,
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for your questions. What just going to do now quickly is just touch on some let's do parent reminders. Like this is a prototype, this is not live, so just to kind of for you to be able to see it. But this is an example of kind of something that we're looking at. So, for example, imagine that you had lots of different clients, and we have that payment reminder screen. You might be able to select some of those clients within here, and then it would generate a reminder. You'd be able to see who those were, and you could generate like an email for those people. It then include the information for that person, the tax type, the amount, and you can approve and send that information. So like this is not live, but it's kind of something that we're exploring. Like something like this, we could send the information. But as we said, we also were looking at sending data to other systems as well. Cool. Just a couple of questions. Are there any plans to set up reminder emails directly from TaxScout? Yeah, cool. Perfect. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at to do.
Yeah.
Awesome. If I go back to
There's
here.
there's a little bit as well of understanding the lag between the client doing something and it appearing on the portal as well. So again, it's like we are presenting what we see in the portal, but again, there is a bit of a lag between the client. If they pay today, it's typically about 2 days before it appears in the portal. So again, when it comes to some of those reminders, I think tone and kind of the actual messages can be quite important in terms of you may have paid type of that scenario. But yeah,
Cool. And I've got a last question. What about data security? So I suppose the socket application, everything in the socket, like we use like best in class AWS security to maintain and host all our infrastructure. And then in terms of what the bot is doing to go through the system, like it's going into your HMRC account and getting that information. We also recommend best practice when we release our 2FA is to add us as a sub user to your HMRC account. So Socket has its own user account, which then means that you can control it and delete it if you want to, which means that we just lose access straight away. So in terms of our system and everything around our system and storing the data, like it's built on what the best in class application security is out there. And in terms of the information that we're getting, we are literally just going into the HMRC website and taking that information and just go straight into the Socket infrastructure.
yeah, yeah. And it's because I kind of like the way I phrase it is we're going in the front door because there's not a back door that we can go in. There's not a kind of an API as such. And even where there is an API, so for example, VAT, the data that is available via the API isn't as rich as via the portal.
Amazing. So that is our demo. And so what's kind of happened since we released a few weeks ago? John mentioned already, we've done the automated overnight sync. We got the overview dashboard, which we showed, and we can also link your client in Socket like core to TaxScout, as that kind of showed. What's coming soon? Payment reminders, which we showed. It's probably like a little bit further away. 2FA is like very soon, so that'll be coming in very soon. And we mentioned CIS. And then coming later a little bit because this relies on HMRC and we've got to work with them. So bear with us. So that's MT for IT and 64A approval.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Simon said, if there's any kind of things that you know about within the portal but we're not surfacing, let us know because we'd love to kind of explore um,
Yeah.
where that data lives.
And now, so then pricing. So TaxScout is a add-on module. So if you're part of Socket already, you can kind of see the prices down the bottom here. So the number of clients in your HMRC plan like is the same as your clients in Socket. So let's say you're on a starter plan and you had 10 proposals on Socket, but actually had 30 clients in TaxScout. You need to upgrade to the standard plan to be able to see that. And your information's here. If you're new to Socket, you do need to like purchase the core membership and the TaxScout. We're doing this as like a supplementary thing to like our core proposition around the proposals and engagement letters. So at the moment it's kind of is you have to buy the core membership and then you have the TaxScout as an add-on. If you're like using stuff you're starting and you've got a big differential between kind of the number of clients you've got on proposals and number of clients in tax scouts, do get in touch to us with us. We understand it takes a little while to like migrate systems, and we can work with you to kind of make it a little bit less painful as you upgrade and upload your clients onto Socket for the core proposals and engagement letters. But you can see the tax scout information straight away.
Yeah. on the migrations as well, Simon, we've got some pretty cool tools that we've built internally to kind of make the transition from one system to another system very, very easy. So if you are using a different tool at the moment and you're keen to kind of explore that kind of transition, let us know and we can help you with a migration from one system to another.
Yeah, I think it's a lot less painful than people think. John and I moved a pretty large firm, like over 900 clients in like less than a week recently from the system and like over 2 hour calls. And so like once we have the data, which is basically can be any kind of format, whether that's spreadsheets or another system, we're pretty good at getting it back into our system now.
Yeah, we like a challenge as well.
Yeah, yeah. Make it as disparate as possible.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Thank you. There's been loads of questions, which really appreciate. Thank you. But we are here for a bit longer. If there's anything else, yeah. And thanks for your time. And if you
yeah,
haven't used Socket today, yeah, head down to usesocket.com, click start a trial, and get going.
yeah. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Someone said, "Can I buy TaxScout on its own?" You will need to get the core subscription as well as TaxScout. So yeah, my suggestion would be take it at a trial, jump in, connect it up, have a play, and yeah, hopefully you'll be excited. No, thank you, Simon. I
Thanks,
will
Tom.
see everyone soon. Take care, and look forward to seeing lots of you at Accountex next week. Take care.